Yes, Rasco and Disco beer review with me, Disco. Welcome to part 2 of Disco Day Rebooted Live. The part 1 earlier this afternoon, where I was looking at a few of the beers left over from previous incarnations of Disco Day, mostly Disco Day 4. It's a little series I do pretty much twice a year, or I have done for the last 2 years since 2020. Where due to a random 20-odd-year-old nickname from down the pub that Rasco used when he started the channel. It's called Disco. He carried it on. So I happened to notice some beers with Disco in the name, and they started finding their way into my collection, started collecting them, started buying them, and then I'll collect them all up and do them all on what I self-indulgently called Disco Day. This one is called Disco Juice, one of my favourite of the disco beer names for obvious reasons. In fact, in 2020, this was my Disco Beer of the Year. We do the beer awards, Rasco and Disco Beer Awards, and I've poured that like a proper idiot, so I'll put the can there until that settles a little bit. That's not too bad as it goes. Yeah, so this was my Disco Beer of the Year in 2020. I did 3 of them earlier. Did one of the original beers, Disco King, on part 1. Disco King from Turning Point. I did Cosmic Disco Egg from, it's probably just behind there. You can't see that closely anyway. Cosmic Disco Egg from Villages and Hot Burns Black, and Pomona Island's Discoteca Go-Go. I've got another 2 coming up for this section, maybe a 3rd. If it goes really well, maybe a 4th, but we shall have to see. So this one is a session IPA from Beer Hut Brewing over in Northern Ireland. A little place called Kilkeel, right down on the south, almost across the estuary from the border of Ireland. Don't know too much about them. I've only been bringing out good stuff. I got this one from the House of Trembler Madness in York, where I get quite a lot of beers from, to be fair. Excellent bottle shop. Send stuff out almost pretty much overnight most of the time. Usually get it the following day, and also do express service at the weekend. So this one I picked this one up last summer. So this one actually wasn't part of the Disco Day, although I done it as part of Disco Day in 2020. This is a further rebrew of it. That I picked up probably back end of last year, I think it was. Probably late summer, in fact. So it's been in my stash again a little bit too long, as a lot of my beers probably are. I think it's fair to say, because I just collect too many beers. I buy beers in pairs, one for the review, and one just to enjoy. This one I just bought. This pair I just bought to enjoy, and I enjoyed the first one over the summer. Left in there in case I had this idea for some other Disco Day stuff, but it stayed in there, so I've done it. Good evening to you, Luke John. Hello again. Yeah, Disco Part 2, just a quick hi. I hope you have a great week. Oh, likewise yourself. Cheers for popping and saying hello. I know you're a very busy man. And I heard something earlier about taking maybe a wee break from YouTube, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for your own personal circumstances. I've been a little bit light on the YouTube stuff. Rasco's been prolific with beer videos. I do say too much. I do that on videos, and I've got to try and control myself and not say all the time. But yeah, Rasco's been pretty prolific on getting beer videos out. Done some really good beer interviews with beer people recently. Latest one with Jaeger or Wildcard Brewing. Really good interview. But also straight piece to camera beer reviews he's been getting out a lot more than I have. I have I've eased off a little bit. I've got too much beer in, and I'll try and decide which one to do first, and it doesn't always work out. Anyway, I'm also not good at waffling to myself on camera, so if anybody wants to pop on, share a quick beer for the afternoon if you haven't all melted away. Cheers, or Session IPA. really fruity juiciness. Pretty much the same as I remember. It's not changed too much in the can over the last 8 months. By producing, there's probably a bit of pineapple, a bit of mango on the aroma. Maybe a touch of pine, as I said before in the first part. Not necessarily a massive fan of the piney or hoppier beers, but this one, I remember it being quite pillowy, and looking at the body on that, it is nice and soft looking, with a good kind of fluffy kind of head. Cheers. Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, and again, as I remember from last year, probably a little bit less juicy, almost a bit more watery now as it's sat in the can for a bit. I know you're supposed to drink these beers as fresh as possible. I just don't always get around to it, you know what I mean? I'd like to drink them the same week as I get them in, but sometimes I get a little bit over eager and buy too many beers in, especially when it comes to disco beers. I've had, I should do is count this up, but I'm not great with numbers, but I think it was 32 now. Another 5 at the end of the week. That's over 2 years since 2020. Starting with the original disco forklift truck, and also, as I had in the first part, Disco King. Yeah, but so over 4 different days. I started off around July, around my birthday, just as a little bit of self-indulgent amusement for myself, because I started noticing all these beers in 2020 with disco in the name. Doesn't necessarily mean a lot. It's just breweries put something. Well, I don't think they're running out of beers, but it kind of it's an easy one to put in as a beer name. It kind of denotes kind of party juice kind of thing, doesn't it? Like, let's all have a disco, that kind of thing. So it's an easy one, and one I'm pleased with. I'm not complaining, by the way. But it guarantees at least one sale. If I see it, if I notice it, I'm going to give it a go. Like I say, I found 32 of the things so far, and another 5, 37, which I think I'll do at the end of the week. It's kind of near enough to my birthday. I don't care about my birthday. I hate getting old. But then I suppose so does everyone else. But there you go. But I'm sure I can't have a few beers midweek or Monday even. So I don't know if anybody else is about. I'd like to thank everybody who popped into the stream earlier. The first part of this, 3 different disco beers. It's kind of a bit, it is a bit self-indulgent really, I suppose, but these things kind of amuse me. I like these little name anomalies, or they just coincidences, just things I notice. I buy a lot of my beers by the beer name, but that's mostly from doing this reviews and doing YouTube and stuff. I like to have something to talk about. As you probably see, much from all the ums and ers, that I don't always have a lot to talk about. I don't even like the sound of my own voice. So sitting there talking to myself, as long as there's somebody in, I'm all right. If there's nobody in, I can bounce off people. But if there's nobody in, I'm on my own. I've got a little idea what I'm exactly going to say, but it doesn't always work out. Yeah, so far it is just 2 of us. Well, that's a nice little drink up. Do you know what I mean? You don't even have to pop anything in the comments. If you're off, that's fine. I'll sit here and talk to myself until anybody else turns up. And if nobody else turns up, I'll just have a beer and we'll see what happens. That's the way it goes sometimes on YouTube. Maybe it's a little bit late. I don't know. Maybe everybody's just melted. It's been proper hot today. I don't even notice numbers. People saying in late 30s into 40s. Those numbers don't mean anything to me or whatever. It's either hot or it's not, or it's somewhere in between. I still got to try and function. They say keep hydrated. They don't mean keep hydrated with beer. But I've got some and I wanted to get them out of stash before the end of the week. Oh, you are more than enough for me, sir. You are absolutely, mostly superbly welcome, and I thank you for popping into all of the streams that you pop into, to be fair. You are more than enough, but I got the impression I thought you was going to just be passing through, but no, please stay on. If you wanted to pop on and have a quick beer with us, I will send you the link if you wanted it. We can have a wee chat. Doesn't matter if you don't have any disco beers. Doesn't even matter if you're not drinking, to be fair. even more than enough chatter for me, so we can have a wee chinwag on a Monday night. That's what the internet is for. It's not what the internet is for. The internet is for many things. It's one of the things we can do if you want. I'll send you the link. I don't presume to assume anybody's coming on, so I don't really send the links out beforehand. And this is an impromptu. I just sort of thought of it. I thought of it over the weekend, but I was having an argument whether to do it like with the heat, like people just be fleeking around, wouldn't they? But yeah, no, that's fair enough, mate. You're giving all lives. I thought you meant you were just giving appearing on your own stream. But if you're giving all lives a miss, mate, not a problem. It's becoming a bit stagnant on the old frontal lobe. Well, I think you've got plenty of frontal lobe for all of us, Luke. But no, that's fair enough. We totally understand. It is good to give these things a little bit of a rest now and again. I probably have given myself a rest almost inadvertently. Like I was saying earlier, I haven't really done that many videos. I've done a few where I've started and I sort of get to a point and I think, I've just enjoyed a beer. I turn the video off and don't put it up. Doing it live is a bit different. I haven't done a live for a year, pretty much, I think. Some point, me and Rasco might get on to doing lives if we can work out what to do with the show. In the meantime, I just did this impromptu one. It is a lovely pale yellow colour, straw colour. It looks a bit kind of like, well, it's like thin orange juice, but it's got that pineapple-y mango kind of flavour going on. So I guess it's kind of pineapple juice, really. I just got a leaflet for London Craft Beer Festival. I'll be getting one of each. It says one of each what? One of each beers? Or one of each tickets for on each day? I think Rascal will be going to London Craft Beer Festival. I'm not sure which days he's going as yet. We will let everybody know. Or if you just see him there, give him a wave. I was just looking for the review because I set it up for Disco Day 4, but this was in Disco Day 1 or 2 in 2020. It was 3 and 4 last year, July and November. Got to scroll back down, way back down the Instagram to find out exactly what I said about it. And I could search on the hashtags. There's a hashtag there I like using, the disco hashtag, the disco collection. Put that into Instagram. You should see all the disco beers I've done up to now. I know, obviously Luke is in, but I'm saying this for anybody who joins afterwards, and also maybe if you're watching it afterwards, and if you are, thank you very much on all that sort of stuff. One of each. Oh, are they doing special beers that they brew for it? I had those last year. I didn't think much from, to be honest with you. But that's a totally different story. I haven't seen which ones they're doing this year. I would have a look. Thomas, hello, sir. Happy birthday again. Thanks for popping in. Had a looking on your stream earlier. As excellent as always, everybody pops in. Well, I'll let Thomas say it as he says it best. Please like and share. Most of the price at 140. One of each beer. You got one of each. Okay, right. 20 in total. Fair play, fair play. I must have not been looking at that or missed what they were. To be fair, I'll have to keep an eye on that for. Oh, Lidl. That's why I misread it. I thought it was London Craft Beer Festival. That's why I'm banging on about Rascal again. Lidl Craft. Okay, so there's a new bunch of beers in Lidl. That's interesting. I'm actually. I missed out on the last ones. I just sort of didn't bother. So we'll have a look at that. Is that coming out? Will that be Wednesday this week? Will it Wednesday or Thursday? Might have to definitely have a look at that. Right now, I know what you're talking about, Luke. Thank you very much for that. Lidl Craft Beer Festival, doing some more Lidl beers. That's interesting. Got an idea for that. I'm going to have a chat with Rascal about that one. Yes, like Thomas's birthday bash earlier. Seems there was no one around. Well, you weren't. I was. But yeah, there was a few people about earlier. Like I say, I think everybody's probably melted away this time of day. It's still proper in northwest London. I had to change my shirt from the first one. It was fairly sweaty. I did drink a lot of water earlier. Quickly depleted some of the spot onto some reviews instead of live streams. It's fair play. Get some videos up there. Bramwell, good evening to you, sir. Thanks for popping in. Good to see you. Cheers. It's a good one for you, Bramwell, maybe. Welcome to my slightly self-indulgent stream of Disco Day that I'm calling it, where I do twice a year. This is a little rebooted, a little extra bonus before I do the one later in the week where I collect as many disco beers with disco in the name that I can find. I'll do them all at once rather than spreading them out, which would be more sensible. I just like to get them all together. And what I call Disco Day, it started off because it was around my birthday, around this kind of time in July. And then I had a few more and did it at Christmas as well. So this is going to be next week. This week is going to be Disco Day 5. This is just a rebooted version. So if you see any disco beers, I know, Brown, you've got your ear to the ground, you probably maybe see a few. If you can think of any, and I haven't done them, then I'll, of course, try and pick them up either this week or maybe have to wait till the next Disco Day coming up for Christmas. But yeah, Bram, if you see any disco beers, give us a shout. This one is Disco Juice from Beer Hut in Northern Ireland. Nice, juicy, pillowy, soft session IPA. I had everything arranged for the first session, and I've gone and forgot to organise details like ABV and previous review I did of this one. Just looking for it way back in 2020, it would have been. Yeah, it was summer 2020. It's on Disco Day 1. This one kind of got in there late. I ended up doing the first one. I had 16 beers, I think it was, on the first Disco Day. I ended up couldn't do them all on one day. It was far too ambitious, so I ended up splitting it into 2 separate sections. It got a bit confusing because I was calling it Disco Day 1 and Disco Day 2, and then I realised I was probably going to do a different one. So they ended up being Disco Day 1, and Disco Day 2 was just before Christmas 2020. I'm like a hog over cold bricks at the moment. I think that's a particularly northeastern expression because I'm fairly well versed in expressions of the UK, but I don't recognise that one. I see Rob is becoming a weekend superstar. Good to see. That's the second thing that Luke said. Well, in fact, loads of things Luke said I haven't really understood. Maybe I'm out of loop, or maybe my brain is just melting in this heat. What have you been up to over the weekends, Rob? That's made you a superstar. I would say he's a weekday superstar in the beer world with his beer reviews and home beer. I'd love to know what that's about. There we go. Yeah, so that was the review I did. way back in July of 2020 for Disco Day 1. And I said, possibly the best session IPA I've ever tried. Probably had a fair few session IPAs since, but it's a good shout. In fact, I made it, as I say, my disco beer of the year for 2020. This is a 2021 version. Brewed it again last year. I haven't seen it this year. I did have a brief look on Beer Hut's website earlier, but I haven't done it this summer. What a fantastic beer this is. Big call for best session IPA ever, but for me, it sure tastes like it. I don't normally session IPA anything, but I'm willing to try them. This was so good, I smashed half last night and wanted more. I think I got a 6-pack in. I got them in direct. I think I got 6 of them and 6 something else from Disco Juice. These ones I got from House of Traveling Madness in New York. I just got a pair in. 4.6% in a 440 can. Disco Juice is just that. Light, juicy and sessionable. Piney, hoppy and citrusy on the nose, but thankfully less so on the taste. Hopped with Simcoe, Mosaic and Chinook. That's interesting. Come back to that. The balance was just right. Not over hopped, but noticeable citrus flavour with grapefruit and pineapple to the fore, and a little melon too, maybe. Also like a can of Lilt, but smoother and alcoholic, although not heavily. Surprised to note the almost unsung use of Kvik yeast. Most definitely a favourite of mine, adding a certain something to the mouthfeel and drinkability for me. At that point, it was unknown brewery so far, although I've been aware of them now. Only seen via a random tweet that reverberated my predilection for disco-named beers. This was an excellent purchase, worth the wait and most reasonably priced, good value for money. Pleasantly surprised, but delighted at the near perfection of this juice. I'm back for more for sure, and I was indeed. Came back again. I'm going to go back to that. We were talking about hops earlier. Adam from Mersey Beers was on. I was talking about hops, but I just noticed there's Simcoe, Mosaic, and Chinook. That is interesting because isn't that exactly the same as Disco King? I think I was talking about that hop combination. Two totally different beers. I guess a different hop combination, to be fair. So not unsurprising. Yeah, like I say, Luke, try and get that one. I haven't seen it from Beer Hut. Maybe. Ooh. Sorry, don't know what happened there. Thanks, O2, for screwing up the internet. If you did, I don't know what happened there. Just my screen went blank. So, yes, yeah, Disco King still available. It's one of the core beers from Turning Point. I did that on the first part of the show earlier, about 5:30. It's up there. I don't have to watch it, but yeah. That's still available from Turning Point. This one can't see from Beer Hut. My first time movie could be called Backroom Disco. That's a bit naughty, a bit cheeky, but I'll buy that for $1. It's time of shots. Birthday shots, Thomas. Thomas, you want to come on, do some birthday shots? I'll do birthday shots with you. If you want, I'll send you a link. Same extends to everybody, to be fair. Oh yeah, new logo from Thomas. Good stuff. We're keeping our logo the same for now. We keep thinking about changing it, but I don't really know what happened there. We are still going. That's all good. I'm working off 2 screens. I've got the laptop over here and I'm off the phone here because I think the quality is better, but looking at it back, I'm not sure the quality is better. So I think it's because it's playing through there, isn't it? So I might as well just use the laptop. Well, you live and learn. Like I say, I haven't done a live for a long time and it's chatting to myself. It's very difficult. Well, it's not. It's easy, but making it good is harder. I don't really do shots, Thomas. I do shots, but I don't really do that like much. I haven't even got anything in. Well, I have. I suppose I can do shots of amaretto. That's pretty much all I do. I've got nothing else. I've got either spirits in or shot or worthy stuff. I used to. When I used to come on live, I used to do a shot of amaretto and a shot of homemade apple syrup. I don't know if that apple syrup's any good. It's been in the fridge since Christmas, but I could do that. Much more fun on this stream than the one you get told off on. Yeah, that's because there's less people. I haven't got any moderators on here, so there's no moderator arguments, no people banning people. Probably the worst thing I could have said because I'll get a load of grief now, won't I? But Brown, Thomas, what have you got in your glass if you're having a wee drink of a Monday night? I don't normally drink on Monday night. Normally it's one of my fallow days. Trying to drink on a Sunday either, to be fair. It's good to have a couple of days off. But like I say, I've got too many beers in the stash, so I thought I'd do a little live. Come on, see who's about. Have a wee chat, have a beer, clear the stash. It's been good so far. Cheers. It's still good on the mouthfeel, quite good on the flavours, but it doesn't quite taste as fresh as if I drank it last year, like I should have done. I told off for saying balls. Who told you off for saying balls? Yeah, you're not wrong with the water there. I'm doing something like that as well, by the way. Keep the palate clear. Keep the tubes lubricated. And they say about keeping hydrated in this weather. It's not the beer they're talking about. Jeez, I must be getting old. I am old, but you know, getting old and sensible. I don't mind getting old. Well, I don't like getting old, but it's getting sensible. It's a good idea when it comes to beer. Still put a few away, do you know what I mean? But it's not as good as it was last year. I left that for too long. Of water with ice. Yeah, thanks, Luke. I'm not telling you off for saying it. So I got 5 beers with disco in the name for the end of the week. I think I did Friday, maybe Saturday. I'll do them probably as written beer reviews on Instagram, like I did the previous ones. I was contemplating doing a live. This was kind of a little bit of practice for that. But the timings don't really match up all that well, so I'll probably just do them as written beer reviews. Maybe do a little live if nobody else is about. But I should imagine Friday and Saturday is usually fairly busy for live. So, and I'm still getting used to doing lives, really. So I'll probably just do them as written beer reviews on Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram or you don't do Instagram, that's fine. But click on over there. Vasco and Disco Beer Review. We're fairly easy to find. Sorry, there's a beer I was looking for. I was gonna talk about it, and I haven't got it out again. Bad planning. Hey, good evening, Stephen. Mr. Stuntman, popping in. Thank you very much. Cheers to you, sir. Just drinking a can of disco juice. Part of my disco day rebooted beers, bunch of beers left over from the last disco day with names with beers with disco in them. Got 30 beers to review over the next 3 weeks before London Craft Beer Festival. Time to do more videos for the channel. Yeah, I've probably got a very similar number, if not twice as many. And I struggle with beer reviews like straight piece to camera because, I don't know, I get them when I get them out, they're all right, but just talking to myself in front of a camera is weird. Still getting used to it. Steve, you having a cheeky beer this evening, or you being a good boy tonight? If so, do you want to pop on for a quick beer and a chat? I'll send you a link. And I've got another beer to do. Next one's a sour. I have a funny relationship with sours. I've got more into them recently, but I'm still not entirely sure about them. That said, my disco beer of the year last year was a sour. I think I said this earlier on stream one, but Vampire Disco from Neon Raptor, peanut butter jelly, very fruity, massive peanut butter on the nose. That was my disco beer of the year last year. So I do drink sours. I've done a few this year. I got into Vault City this year on the sours. Oh, I thought the internet was going to drop again. Struggling a little bit on this one. Oh. Yeah, see, I can read it that time when he says the Lidl Beer Festival. Yeah, I wonder what they'll have on that one. I probably won't be rushing down, but I'll try and get down there and have a little look. There's usually one or two good things, but I did say I wasn't going to buy any more beer, even at those prices, because I got plenty in, but I outsourced to Steve. I would love to send Steve, and you in fact, us some beers. As I bought too many, but yeah, postage and stuff. Oh dear. More the cold bath I've not heard of actually. I've heard of most of them, but that's a new one on me. S43, well known. Vocation, obviously very well known. Right, let's go on to the next one. This next one is called Disco Fizz. It's from Good Chemistry Brewing, and it looks terrible on camera. Very pretty to the naked eye. Always very colourful beers, but a kind of silver bit, and it looks really pink there, but it's not. It's much darker pink, neon pink on the can. It just says fruited sour, so let's see what fruits we can get hold of. 4% this one. Yeah, it's terrible. It doesn't really photograph very well because like the silvery bit kind of doesn't really work in the light, but I'm going to get it in a glass anyway. It's quite fizzy. It is very fizzy. Now, Disco Fizz actually reminds me talking about it. I think I probably said it on the well, that is proper fizzy, isn't it? I think I probably said it on the original review, but Disco Fizz, I have actually had before. I think there's another one. They bring out several different versions of it, different fruits. The trouble with that can is, again, I can't read the stuff on the back of my eye, so it's too good. Not sure what's going on because my internet's died again, so I don't know if you can see me or anything. It doesn't come back straight away. I'm going to give up. There we go. Sorry about that. My internet's terrible. 10:02 probably. That's not even the fact that their masts or their distribution has melted. It's just the fact that they're generally occasionally terrible. Too many dropouts, but again, quite cheap. Got a good deal on it. I don't even know. I can't even see that at the front. It has to go like that to see the logo. Anyway, there you go. So yeah, Disco Fizz. I'm not sure what the fruit is, but it's a fruited sour. Definitely some red berries on the nose. A little bit of raspberry, maybe red currant. Cheers. That's it. Ooh. Yeah, if I remember rightly, let me go straight onto the Instagram and see what I wrote about that, because yeah, there's definitely some raspberry, but it's quite muted. A little bit of weakness, a little bit of wateriness in there. It's not massively whip your throat out sour, not massive. A little bit of fruit tartiness in there. Quite sweet on the back end. Oh, excuse me. Definitely well carbonated, plenty of gas there. Okay, right, okay, so this wasn't even last one. This wasn't even Disco Day 4. This was last summer, so I think there's a little bit past the best before. Not that normally bothers me. I drink it anyway. It's probably not going to be that great. It's not be that much of a problem if it goes a bit past the best before date. Let's have a little. I'm not going to be able to see it on the can, I don't think. No, because it's there in the silver writing somewhere, but it tastes okay. Got the fruitiness, only very mild level on the sourness. It's not ripping my tongue out or anything. Let's see what I said about it on the review I did on Instagram. As I say, I do all these written on Instagram. Occasionally I might get around to doing a video for it if I've got a spare, but these ones I haven't. So there we go. Yeah, see, I've done it in the summer, so in the light it looks much different on the can. In the darkness, much brighter neon pink, and yeah, slightly different colour in the sunlight there. This is way back in July of last year. I was doing around my birthday in July. And I started off with this one. It was a start for the 10. I generally tend to start with the sour and the lighter, paler beers. What did I say there? A great Tuesday tipple. So I did it midweek in Disco Day. Okay, fair enough. So it's going to be midweek again. So I'm not sure whether I'm doing it midweek or whether I do it at a weekend. Disco Day 3. Yes, it would be a third one last year. Yeah, Disco Day 3 in the summer sunshine with this fruity cold thirst quencher. A beautifully rosé coloured beverage with foamy head that doesn't dissipate quickly, hanging around through the quickly finished glass. So I nicked it pretty quickly in the summer last year. Red currant, black currant, and raspberry sour. I think I've got that from the can notes without necessarily. Although I did say raspberry and red currant. I'm never sure about black currant, but I've written in red currant, black currant, and raspberry sour, all of which summer flavours come through in varying degrees. Both ripe and unripe fruit flavours, initially quite sour, but unlike the bubbly head, dissipates into a not very sour raspberry note. An odd but not unpleasant hedgerow note permeates too, grassy but fresh, and complements the fruit. Nicely cold, like a melted ice lolly. A really smashable, juicy summer fizz banger of a sour beer. A perfect start. Onwards and upwards. Well, there we go. Okay, so looks like I kind of enjoyed it last year. I guess slightly different because, you know, it's kind of in the darkness, getting dark now, so maybe slightly different as a start for 10. But I do like to put, I had a little bit of a session of 3 beers earlier one now. I do like to put sours sometimes across the palate because of the fruitiness, kind of just cleanses all the hoppy notes and the malty notes. I do like to put a sour in. Can is very glary. Yes, yes, exactly. Like I say, when I put the review up from Instagram, you can see the difference. A much brighter pink on the screen, but it's a much darker neon pink to the naked eye. Again, fizzy with the disco. Again, physical, as you might say. I had a few others from Good Chemistry Brewing. They're up in Bristol. Run a number of really good brewers coming out of Bristol these days. All of the others were perfectly solid, good drinkable beers. I wouldn't say any of them massively stood out, but all perfectly solid, perfectly tasty. I had a couple of IPAs. I bought a 12-pack. I think that was the only way I could get Disco Fizz in because I think otherwise I couldn't quite get an order together. Or did they not do singles? I'm not sure. But anyway, I bought a 12-pack. It was like an IPA. There was a black IPA, which I'm not keen on, but was perfectly okay. I think there was a stout and one or two others. A good selection of beers. I've not really gone back to Good Chemistry. I probably should see if they've got a different version of Disco Fizz out at the moment. I guess it's somewhere. I had it on draft. I didn't realise, but I found a photograph of it. I had a pint of it way back in like 2019, in summer of 2019. I think that was just a blackberry version. But I had it on a pub in North Acton, starred by the station. Sadly, no longer with us, that pub. But I didn't realise that when I bought these cans. Then if you're looking back that I found them. But looking back over the years, they've done different variations of Disco Fizz. Yeah, Kokomo Weekday was their session IPA. Yeah, they do. They really only do. Yeah, they only do mixed packs, which is a touch annoying. I can't see Disco Fizz in the lineup at the moment. Yeah, don't seem to have done a version of it this year, or I've missed it, one of the two. But they do only do mixed packs at mixed cases. Don't do. Yeah, even the single ones are minimum of 6, which I don't have a problem with. That's their business. I just can't always be getting 6 of anything. Little bit of a story of that with this week's beers. To be fair, rather than having to order a 12-pack from a brewery, I drove all the way over to Twickenham just to find because I found a shop that had done them. It was about the only shop that had them, to be fair. Where are we at? There's 4 in chat. Who are you and what are you doing here? But welcome along. You are a beautiful person. Well, I'm a person, definitely. I don't know about beautiful or beautiful. I just enjoy a beer and a good beer waffle. So here we all are for a Monday night. Don't do too much Monday night beers very often. Don't do too much lies very often, to be fair. But here we all are. This is sort of a beer that kind of draws me back in. Always looking for something else, a bit more fruit. I tell you what, it reminds me of that fruit tightness. Got a massive jungle in the garden, lots of brambles growing. So I do have quite a good selection of blackberries that I often pick, bung them in a freezer, just use them, spread them on toast or whatever with a bit of honey. Don't bother processing them, it takes too much time. I don't actually make my own jams or anything. Just use the bare fruit, bung them on, freeze them, I say. Then unfreeze them, use them throughout the year. I've got half a dozen boxes of blackberries in the freezer. But they've just come out, and I think they've come out early. I'm normally thinking early August for blackberries. And here we are, mid-July, and I picked 2 or 3. The one in the centre always comes out first, so I picked 1 or 2 of those. Still a little bit tart. Needs a little bit more rain, another little growth spurt, and it'll be okay. But it kind of reminds me of what this beer is. It's kind of got that early, like I said, I did say in the review, that unripe fruit. So it's like unripe, probably more like unripe raspberries and blackberries, but still a good amount of fruitiness and not massively sour, not massively tart. Luke, you're very kind. You're very kind indeed. I could probably talk about something about all of the beers behind me. All empty now. I'll keep them there as like, you can't see them, can you? There you go. Yeah, so I will just waffle on about beer, and if anybody wants to pop on and join us for a beer, I will send you the link more than happily. Never did hear from Thomas. I haven't got any shots to do, but I'll happily do some shots with Thomas. Your channel is one of the better ones for it. No offense to others, but I like the style. I don't know. Do I have a style? Rambling waffle is my style. So I don't do too many lives. I get bored of my own voice. Be very kind. Thank you. I will take that. Yeah, I don't say compliments well either. I'm very bad at compliments. But thank you very much indeed. Thank you to everybody. And if you're watching this back afterwards, firstly, thank you for watching it back afterwards. And if you're still watching at this point afterwards, thank you very much indeed. If you're watching it back afterwards and you want to bung anything in the comments, if you see any disco beers, do let me know in the comments. I will look at all the comments, and if you find anything that I haven't already had or don't already know about, I will make supreme efforts to get the beers in. If it's got disco in the name, let me know, and I will try and add it to the disco collection for the end of the week. Sometimes it's possible. I mean, as long as I find out by about Wednesday, I can probably get an order in somewhere. I did say I wasn't going to buy any more beers, but the exception to that is, of course, disco beers, because I want to add them to the collection because these things amuse me. For no real other reason than that. It's not really big-headedness or anything, or self-indulgence. Well, there's a little bit of self-indulgence, but these things amuse me. I just like these random coincidences of seeing names. I mean, it's not even disco. It's not even just disco named beers. I got a beer in this week, well, last week, from Rivington, because I got one of the ones for the end of the week is Rivington's. Looks like a disco ball, which again is another sour, right? Got a mango sour, I think is. But I got another Rivington beer in just because of the name. I think the name was My Good Chaise Lounge. And I'm an accidental owner of a chaise lounge, so I thought I'd do a beer review from the chaise lounge. I don't think anybody owns chaise lounges anymore. I'm not even. I think that's quite. It's like a posh settee. It's not really a settee, but it's like got a half back. I'm not really posh enough to own a chaise lounge. It was just accidental. So yeah, I do like random beer names. I don't know, Rasco. Very unique style disco, but you go in depth about beers. Unlike Rasco, he's just a pisshead. I think that's very unfair on my man Rasco. I'd like to think we're both pissheads here and there in our day, given time. Not so much on this stream, really. I've slowed up because I had 3 earlier on part 1 of this stream, but it's still up on YouTube. You can watch it afterwards should you want to. I'm slowing down on this one. Maybe I'm doing more talking, I don't know. Oh, bro, Rivington collab with Marble. Looking forward to it. Yeah, Marbles. So Rivington, this is the first time I got Rivington in. What did I have? Oh, the first Rivington I had was Days of Candy. 5.3% pale. Very nice, perfectly drinkable pale. Not, I wouldn't say massively outstanding, bit of fruitiness. Good to see 500ml cans. I thought there was only a few breweries that do 500ml cans, so always good to see. Looks good. Like I say, got a couple of others coming on. Paul, greetings. Hello. Welcome for dropping in again. See in part 1. Thanks for dropping in at part 2. Rasco's a purist. Intense is the word I'd associate with him. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. He is quite intense. He's a very intense person. I would say I'm less intense. I'm probably more. What's the opposite of intense? Is it out-tense? It's not, is it? What's the opposite of intense? Question for the panel. Question for the comments. What is the opposite of intense? I should know that, really. Aha! Hello! Pierre Brunus. Good to see you. It's been a while, sir. As well, remind himself. Exactly the words I was about to say. Nothing wrong with being a bit of a pisshead. Well, we've all had our moments. I'd like to think I still am. Although I've probably not been so much of a pisshead in the last 2 years for fairly obvious reasons. Going to enjoy some St. Peter's brews and a George Gale Festival Mild. I tell you what, the fact in America you get, well, St. Peter's, but George Gale, I mean, it's owned by Fizz, so they've got international distribution, but just to keep it as George Gale and a Festival Mild. How old is that? How back in the day is that? Because I wouldn't even know where to look to find that. That would have to be very deep on eBay in this country, probably. I don't think George Gale's, apart from through Fuller's, it would be very difficult to find a lot of their business. George Gale actually is the purveyor of one of my favourite ever beers. I don't know if you can quite see. I've got the pump clip up there. Firecatcher. It was only available for 2 years, but it was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful Christmas. Well, kind of late September, October, going into Christmas beer full of like spices and stuff like that. It was dark ale. It was absolutely beautiful. Craig Kent, welcome back in. Yes, it's a party of sorts. As I was saying, if anybody wants to join the party, I'll send out the link and we'll have a wee chat and a beer. If anybody's fancies a Monday night, join me on the live stream. You're more than welcome. I've been chatting about me disco beers. Probably can't see this one too well. But yeah, if anybody wants the link, I shall send it away and pop on and say hello, see what everyone else is drinking. Paul, the opposite of intense is boring. Okay, I'm definitely not. Well, I don't think I'm boring. It's not boring being me. I get to some quite interesting things. I think, you know, people might say that. It's not for me to say, is it? Ooh. Ooh. It sort of goes from sweet fruitiness to really tart kind of unripe raspberries, and it's not terrible. It's quite nice. It's just 2006. What's that for the festival mild? Mate, you are pretty much beating me hands down. I started a series recently. I don't know if you saw the video. I did this one. It's a 2-year-old chocolate bar Takeoff metric tonics, but it came out actually 2 years ago. Can't see that too well. But it's Takeoff as a chocolate Scottish bar. That's 2-year-old beer. I've got another one in the thing I might do next week, but it's a fairly well-known Belgian beer. It'll hold up, and I don't think the expiry date's even gone yet. But I do have a 5-year-old IPL that I don't really want to do because it's kind of a souvenir, and there's really no point because it's going to be terrible. But I kind of want to find out just how terrible it is. So I'm looking at old beers, but 2006, that's going to trump anything I'm going to be able to find, apart from the 30 to 40-year-old bottle of Baby Sham I've got in the stash that, again, along with the Saisons, I kind of inherited. And I don't know whether to try that because that's going to be terrible, isn't it? I don't know. We're struggling with this crazy heat. Yeah, I'm doing okay with the heat. I say I did this inside rather than outside because this room is not massively, it's kind of south facing, so it does get a bit of sun, but there's a lot of trees outside, so it's kind of like keeps it a bit cool. I did have the fan on for 10 minutes earlier just to not sweat too badly going into this stream. If you watch the first stream, you see I had a yellow t-shirt on, and that was a little bit sweaty by the time I'd finished, so I did change into a shirt, albeit a dark one. But there you go. Now it's 8, so no, yeah, it was grand for a while with just the two of us. Well, it was never the two of us, it was other people joined, but yeah, thanks everybody for joining in and coming along. Okay, so their Conquest Ale again. It's around 2006. Probably I was drinking George Gales around about then, but probably didn't know too much about it, so I don't think I've had that one. Everybody said hello to everybody. Going through the comments, it's okay to be a bit boring. I'm very boring. Maybe dull is the opposite of intense. I wouldn't say he was boring, sir. Very entertaining. Yeah, I don't think I'm. Well, you know, I can be. We all have our moments, don't we, of being boring, to be fair. There's an old case of Ramsey IPA that will 100% be terrible. I've got to try. Oh, yeah, you got a place that just does like old beer, don't you? I used to see old beer at beer festivals. You know what I mean? You get like a 1977 Jubilee Ale, and you're like, that's gonna be terrible. And I'm not. Do you buy it to drink it, or do you buy it just to look at and tell people you've got, or do you just drink it and tell people how terrible it is? But I mean, John from Lord's Brewing did a couple of really old ones. I think they were darker beers, so they were mostly okay. Like just a little bit on kind of on the edges of a bit bad, but yeah, something nice and dark. It'll probably stand for a bit when it'll be okay. But yeah, I agree with you. Just want it just to see how bad it is, and maybe it isn't. Yeah, nice surprise. Every channel needs a yin and yang. I'll let you lads think of the rest. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm yin yang or yin lipo. That's a different saying altogether. Oh, Bram, we've got a Thomas Hardy ale from 1984. Bit scared to open it as yet. Well, this is the thing. I mean, 84. I mean, you see all those Fuller's vintage ales, but they'd only go back to something like 1990 something. I say, yeah, John did something from 70s or 80s. I have a feeling Thomas Hardy will, by its very nature, by its name, be quite hardy and probably stand up fairly well. Again, depends what it is. I imagine it's maybe a darker ale, so you might be all right. I love it. A Courage Ale from 1981 for the marriage of Charles and Di. It actually wasn't too damn bad. Do you know what? I wish, well, we can all wish we'd done things before, but if I'd seen beers like that then and bought them, I've got a couple of things next door, some souvenirs, like my Nana picked up, like plates from 1981. I remember going to Charles and Di's wedding, not going to it. Obviously, I was like a kid, but yeah, I'd have been like 5 years old. But we went to like Regent's Park or somewhere and watched the fireworks and stuff like that. And I probably fell asleep because it wasn't that intense. Thomas Hardy is always a good time. It's always a good time. Had a few 90s brews. Yeah, Thomas Hardy, don't know too much about him. I know the name, but not too much about him. If you notice, I've managed not to do too many terrible puns this stream, which is unusual. Maybe because of lack of Slurpy Dave popping in. But yeah, I haven't even done. Excuse me, nose is blocking up. But yeah, anyway, thanks to everyone for popping in. I'm doing a disco beers. I do them every year in July around about my birthday. Not telling you when it is. I'm born at some point this week. I've got 5 beers with disco in the name, so I'm going to do them on Friday, I think, probably via the medium of written beer reviews on Instagram, because Friday's probably a bit clogged up for doing live. So I might do a video about them, maybe, and then do that afterwards. But I'm running out a little bit out of storage space. I've got to shuffle some stuff around and move it onto memory cards with the old technology and stuff like that. I also have to buy a new laptop and mobile phone at some point, because I think mine's are on the way out, but I can't really afford that at the moment. So yeah, so 5 beers with disco in the name. If anybody watching, as I said before, this is kind of a call out for, if you know of any current beers with disco in the name, let me know. If I haven't had them already in the previous 4 disco days, I will try and get them in. If I find it, add them to the disco collection. Adam from Mersey Beers was giving me a few heads up earlier. He said shiny disco balls, which everybody else might not know what he's talking about, but I know exactly what he's talking about. There's a brewery in Derbyshire called Shiny Brewery, and they have a beer called Disco Balls. Great name, and great artwork on the can as well. Yes, but I had that one in 2020 as well, so I know it's out on cask in pubs around the Derbyshire area, but not in cans this year, so I said had it already. But yeah, if I see any more, went out for a little drive the other week, picked up a couple of hard to find ones. Actually went on Untapped, did a little search of Untapped, and I still don't really know how Untapped works for searching, but I saw a few and I did trawl through a massive list. There we go, Paul. I've got a local brewery called Silent Disco over here. I probably saw it on Untapped the other day, because it does. I don't really understand Untapped. I want to kind of drill it down to just currently available beers in the UK. It doesn't seem to be able to do that. I've kind of, with respect, I've kind of avoided US beers, mostly just for distribution reasons, although I have got one. I've got Disco Wolf coming up this week. That was one of Adam's suggestions that I found at Beers of USA. So I do look at Beers of USA, see if there's any disco beers, but also sort of on cost grounds, because trying to get it over it. So I'm mostly stuck to UK beers. Like I say, I got an American beer in this one. The last disco day I had at Christmas, I had a Norwegian beer. So I will do overseas beers, and as Adam said earlier, there's a whole bunch of beers over in Poland and I think Romania with like a whole series of disco beers. But I always take suggestions like that. But then, Paul, who's that Silent Disco by? Because if I see it, like, I'll look at Beers of USA or a couple of the US importers over here. And if I see it, I might pick it up for the next one. Yeah, so like, yeah, don't go too much trouble, because I'll do the next one if I see enough beers around Christmas. But yeah, if you can. But I'll look at, Funk Brewing. Yeah, okay. Funk Brewing. I don't know if I saw that one go through on Untapped. I'll keep an eye on that. I've not seen that name on Beers of USA. But I know there's a couple of other importers of USA beers over here that I don't look at regularly enough. But Beers of USA are pretty good for American beers. Got a good search function, so I just type disco into the search bar. That's how I found Disco Wolf, because Adam told me to go and look at Beers of USA. They haven't got a massive range, and they've got quite a good clearance section. but the prices are fairly high. We're talking about 8, 9, 10 quid a can anyway. But that's a good shout. I will bear that one in mind. I'm going to write that down. Write that down. Pen and paper. I should just type it somewhere. I will keep an eye out for that. That's a great shout. And a great name as well, Silent Disco. Although everybody loves a disco. Got a few silent discos here and there. They're a bit weird. You just watch everybody bouncing around in silence. It's very strange. You take your headphones off and just nobody knows what's going on. Then you get random people just shouting out, like if it's a kind of anthemic song, you just get people shouting out the chorus. It's just really weird, and usually out of tune. I don't know if I'm going to get round to the next one, because that one, say, I don't want to, like, you know, I could put it aside and just move on to the next one to try it. But the next one, I'm not sure. I've got two. One's Drygate's Disco Pogo Stick, which again is a variant of Disco Forklift Truck, their Mango IPA, but it's Mango IPA with, I think, orange, passion fruit, and something else. I've got to be honest, I tried it. It wasn't that good. That's probably why it's still sitting in the stash. But the other one's a Pomona Island Double IPA. And you all know I'm not great on double IPA, so I'm not sure I actually want to drink either of them. What I really want now is a stout. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Disco made me do it. That's a different conversation entirely from John from Lord's Brewing. Paul, Silent Disco, there's a whole concept. It is weird. It's kind of fun, and it does help if you're off your chunks with whatever method you choose. Mostly for me, alcohol. In fact, entirely for me, it's alcohol. Just see, I'm wearing a t-shirt. A beautiful day. It's a fantastic festival down in the West Country in Devon, run by a band called The Levelers. Been there a couple of times, and yes, they have a silent disco and a massive dance tent. So it gets to, like, I don't know, 2 in the morning or something, and then you just rent them. They obviously turn the music off. They want to keep it a bit quiet for people camping and whatever. It's kind of out of the way of places anyway. But yeah, massive tent, like, you know, like 3,000 people tent kind of thing. That's fairly empty at 2 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, you rent out the headphones, and you've got about 4 DJs on the stage, and yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I say, especially when you take the headphones off and you can hear like 50 people over there all singing the chorus to, I don't know, Insomnia by Faithless or something like that, all singing it out of tune and in different tunes. But in some ways, it's quite heartening. It's quite amusing. But you get the best thing about it is you kind of get to choose. You don't have to listen to whatever show the DJ's playing. You do get to choose. Usually have like 1 or 2 channels or 3 channels or something like that, so you can flick around it. It's quite fun. It's just a bit bizarre. And what I can't understand is doing that like in the morning. It's got to be a 2 a.m. thing. Like, you know, in the morning. Just, you don't need a silent disco, do you? Really? Depends where you are. Somebody who does silent disco. They have one randomly in the Dodo micro pub in Hanwell in Ealing. It's only a very small place, so that's probably kind of why it works there. But there's not that many people, so that would be very weird there. But looks like good fun. Yeah, it's strange, but it works in certain places. Prefer dippers over regular IPAs if both are hazy. Okay, well, yeah. Depends what they are as well. Depends, like, I don't mind like a, well, it's like, say, if it's like Kavika or oats in it, it's like some soft and pretty. I did have a couple of disco double IPAs last year. I haven't got a full circle. Was it really good? Disco Clouds. That was quite a good, very juicy double IPA. Oh no, there you go. I forgot about that. That was the first year's Disco Juice. Totally different can art, but same beer. 2 different years. I can't get the hang of camera. Yeah, so that's 2 different Disco Juices. That's last year's, that's the year before. But there you go. Yeah, there's the other double IPA. Donatella's Disco Night from Pressure Drop, of course, and that was quite nice. That's a New England double IPA. That was really nice with pineapple and other stone fruits, but I was one of the few double IPAs I actually quite like that, and the Disco Clouds from Full Circle. Silent Metal Fest would be better, but it'd be hard to keep the headphones on while headbanging. Yeah, you need some very strong headphones for that. Right then, who's drinking what in the comments? Is anybody drinking, or is it we're having a Monday night off? Which is not a bad thing. It's normally what I do, to be fair. I don't normally drink on a Monday night. I just have it's good to have like a few days off a week, especially when you're doing this beer reviewing thing. You tend to very easily get into one or too many beers, one or too many days. Yeah, so North London Brewery, very well thought of over here. I don't know whether it travels. I don't know what gets exported overseas, but been around a while, but probably only really come to massive prominence in the last couple of years. GBF, I do not know. Really don't know. I know Rasko's intending to go. I think he's going to do. Well, I think he's definitely got the ticket for the Tuesday for the trade session, and he may well buy a rest of the week, and it's going to depend on what he's doing here, there, and everywhere. What I'm doing, personal circumstances, I've got no idea. I should bloody well hope so. I was very close to going to Ealing last week, but then it ended up being. I had a cunning plan to get over there, and then between weather and personal circumstances, didn't really work out. So, yeah, GBBF, massive festival indoors, lots of people there in August. Who knows? We shall see what happens, mate. We shall see what happens. I think we've died again. Yeah, we've died again. Right, so thank you, O2, for dropping out for the third time. That's really getting on my nerves now. Great, yes, you can say GBF, excellent. We'll work it out. I'll work out. There'll be tickets available. I don't think it will sell out. There's a lot of tickets available. So yeah, GBF this year. I think it should be the week before, but it'll mark 4 years of the Rasko and Disco channel. Rasko pointed a camera phone in my face 4 years ago, 2018, at the end of GBBF on the last day, and said, "Talk about the beers we had." And to this day, I think it's one of the best videos we've ever done, because we didn't have to think about it. We didn't get time to think about it. We just talked about the beers of the festival, and it was really good. And then the next day, just put Rasko and Disco beer review as the channel and put the video up. We had no followers, so it's not the most well-seen video. When we get to 500 followers, I'll repost it so can people watch it again. But you have to scroll a way down to find it. But I thought it was a really funny video. I really enjoyed it. So I went, okay, we'll give this a go. I'll do it again. And then we went to beer festivals and pubs in town, various places, and did just slightly drunken beer videos. And it was all going really well. We had massive numbers. And then the pandemic hit and we've had to do separate videos and lives and stuff like that. But yeah, 4 years next month. It's been a fun journey. It's been a fun journey. It's got me drinking different beers I never thought I'd drink. It's got me drinking beers with disco in the name, which is just following the theme. And onwards and upwards, as they say. Yeah, definitely, Paul. As I say, I met up with Craig the other week at my local brewery. Next time I go up for Creative Juices, I'll give you a shout, Paul, and if you're around, or next time you're going up Creative Juices, something I can get to possibly with ease. Personal circumstances dictate that I'm staying a bit local at the moment. But Creative Juices, as we know, is a good drink, so we shall sort that out. I do have to chat to you, actually, Paul, about possibility of doing a live about Creative Juices with the collab with Mad Yank, but I will contact you separately on that issue. If you're around and about, fancy doing a live with us, maybe with Mad Yank. I shouldn't give too much away on the live, really. I should just message you, but the invitation is out there. We'll work it out as we go along, and then we'll talk about GBBF close to the time. Well, I tell you what, what I'm going to have to do, I've just seen a message, so what I'll do, I'm going to, sorry to cut it short, but I'm getting a bit fed up with O2 cutting the internet out, in and out. I'm not sure what it looks like from your perspective. I think you've just had to stare at a blank screen, a dark screen for 30 seconds. So I am going to say thank you very much for everybody who's popped in, joined all the comments. Thank you for everybody who might be watching afterwards or catching up with the stream. As I say, if anybody sees any or comes up with anybody, any or knows any other beers with disco in the name, either drop them on the comments or message us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, if anybody follows us on Facebook. But yeah, let us know. I'll try and get some more in, and if I don't, I'll do it for the next one. But Disco Day 5 coming up the end of the week, probably on Instagram, maybe do a live. I like doing some kind of random stuff, you know what I mean? I don't always plan it that well. Don't always plan it at all, but always sort of, this one was fairly impromptu, and it worked out pretty well, mostly because you guys walked up and didn't save me from just talking to myself to a camera, which I find really difficult. But yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, cheers, Paul. Give it a shout. Thanks to everybody in the comments. I've been Disco, a Rasco and Disco beer review. I don't have to tell anybody who's currently in to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I get bored of doing that. But thanks very much. Onwards and upwards to the next one. Cheers all. Have a good evening. Stay cool in the heat. Stay cool. Cheers.